Hey everyone, it's Sally Ann speaking, and I've just arrived in the UK after a 3-week trip in Canada. It's 02:37 a.m. here. It seems that I'm losing the concept of sleep bedtime. It's just I seem to be up when I'm up and sleep when I'm sleeping. Well, my title today, It's All Given. It's just really a sharing of my experience that everything is given and that everything is for me. Everything that occurs is for the healing of my mind. And this Canada trip was just a continuation of that theme, a really profound experience. So I guess it started back in early November. I started to feel a real strong call to be in Canada. It was just a sense, a knowing I was to be in Canada. And it got so strong that every time I switched on the computer, there was a message that said, "Fly direct to Vancouver now." And it come up in my Yahoo account, my Facebook account, my Skype account. Everywhere I looked, it was there on YouTube every 5 minutes. And so I reaffirmed with Spirit. I knew that I was being called to Canada. I could hear perfectly well. And then I met a girl in town who I hadn't seen for a couple of years, who was highly psychic, and she said, "Oh, Spirit said you need to be in Canada." I said, "I know." And I surrendered to the entire idea that if this was to be so, the means would be given. And as we approached Christmas, I wondered how this was going to occur. Being a single parent with 3 young children and owner of a dog in what seems to be a house, and living on divine providence, it was, how is this going to look? But I knew at my heart I didn't need to know anything. I just needed to be open and willing to listen and follow the prompt. So I said yes to the idea of Canada, and shortly after, some money dropped into my account. I guess around about £800, and I sat there and I looked at this balance in my account, and I really didn't think, oh, where has this come from? Because I know that everything that comes to me comes through Spirit. And a friend of mine recently said, I just realised that I never earned $1 in my life, and I will never earn $1. This is just the ego story. Everything is given through Spirit. And so I really got that on a quite profound level. And I just sat there and I looked at this balance, and the old ego idea was coming in. And it was, oh, but that's all the money you've got in the world. And oh, but if you spend that, then you're screwed. Oh, it's Christmas. You can't empty your bank account at this time of year. Do you really want to empty your bank account and leave yourself with nothing? So I was aware of this ego stuff going on, the agenda. And the big agenda is, of actually following the prompt and leaving yourself with apparently nothing and buying into the scarcity game again. And I refused to do that. And within minutes, I purchased the ticket and trusted completely that everything else would be added unto me. And it reminded me of the section in the course that says, when I accept the Holy Spirit's plan and I take on all that is given, then there will be no road that's barred to me. There will be no blocks, no stone to trip my way. Everything will be taken care of. Everything. When I trust in Spirit. And so I kind of understood that very well. So the ticket was purchased, and I started to entertain ideas in my mind that I was going to Canada to be in Alberta because there was a Christmas retreat going on there. So I assumed that was the reason why I was going. And really, whenever I think I know something, that's when I'm wrong, because I can't possibly know anything, and I can't pretend to know anything any longer. There is nothing to know, and only to surrender in every moment now. That's all there is. So if I think I know something about anything, there's something for me to look at. So I had this idea in my mind, but then I had this real strong feeling that no, not Alberta, not the retreat, Grace. And Grace is a good friend of mine who lives in Canada, and she was feeling it too, and actually offered me an invitation to be with her in Canada. And I was really feeling like this was how it was going to be. And she's got a beautiful family set up there in Canada, and I thought, I'm going to witness what a perfect family Christmas looks like. And not only am I going to observe that, but I'm going to be part of that. And I disliked Christmas for so long in my life, and I can't really say I've had a joyful Christmas. And so it kind of intrigued me what this was going to look like, and yet still there was this idea that I knew something. But anyway, the ticket was purchased, and I was following, and everything was given, and it was almost like Jesus was saying to me, we've brought you the money to purchase this ticket, and if you purchase this ticket in full faith of where will I have you go and where will have you be, then you don't need to worry about anything, because if you do this, then we will make sure, or I will make sure, that you are taken care of in every step of the way. And that's kind of what happened. Well, it's not kind of what happened, it is what happened. So I was offered the place to stay with my friend in Canada, and I never knew what it was going to look like. All I could do was remain open about that. Then as soon as I emptied my account and bought the ticket, money started to roll in, and things that I've been wanting to get rid of started to go, and people offered me money and bought things from me. And as I was about to leave my house, I was having a big clear out anyway, so all this money came, and I had enough to give my children a Christmas gift, and which was cash, and they bought their own gifts this year. I didn't really get involved in Christmas at all. I wasn't involved in the buying of presents, the wrapping of presents, or buying of food or cooking Christmas fare. It was like, really, I was leaving all that behind. When I bought the ticket, I had an idea in my mind that I would leave on the 24th of December, and I would probably back on the 2nd of January, but that wasn't the case. The only flight available to me was to leave on the 19th of December and return on the 7th of January. So it was quite different to what I'd expected it to look like. And once again, it's just highlights the fact that we can never know anything, and to have no expectations about anything, because it's never how we think it looks. And I can't honestly say that I know what is in my best interests. I can't say that I do, so I let it all go. So my children were all taken care of. That all fell into place, and eventually the care of my dog came in, and the winding up of my house was delayed, though it seemed, and I was off. Now, on a previous flight, I'd spent the entire night in Heathrow Airport waiting for my flight, and I really didn't relish doing that again. And at that moment, my good friend Luciano came online, and we chatted about hotels and airport hotels. And I said, in my experience, Londoner hotels are very expensive, particularly airport hotels, and can cost around between £150 and £200 for one night. And I said, I'm not really looking forward to staying in the airport overnight, but unless there's a miracle comes in, then I won't be having a hotel room. And right then, just spontaneously, I decided to check Gatwick Airport hotels, and right there, right in the moment, was a special deal online, and I got to book a room which costs only £19. £19, and my friend offered to buy it as a gift and also included breakfast. So now I had a room and a full English breakfast for next to nothing really. So I was like blown away by the miracle, and I thought, wow. And then of course the past likes to tell me, if you're paying only that for a room, the room must be second class, it must be grotty, it must be overrun with cockroaches. And I watched these thoughts come in and floating out again. And when I arrived at the airport hotel, it was so perfect, you would not believe. The hotel that I was booked into was right next to the check-in area of the airport. So literally all I had to do was step out the door in the morning and I was in check-in. And so it was so perfect. And much more than that, when I went into my room, I was amazed. It was high class, it was quality, it was absolutely spotless, fit for a queen actually, and it was so beautiful. It was all done in my favourite colours. I had a huge queen size bed, I had a beautiful ensuite bathroom, I had TV, movie channel, the phone, I had 24 access to hotel service, and it was just perfect. And that was all given. And then, of course, my good friend Luciano offered to collect me from the airport and said that it would be an honour to do that. And so I accepted his gift and his love, and he actually was there to greet me at the airport. Now, when I looked at my itinerary, I thought when I landed in Vancouver that I would be a stranger there, and that I would have to somehow locate a coach that would take me to Wasson, to a ferry, which would take me over to Victoria, and then from there I'd have to have another coach and find my way to Coisham Bay. So there was all this idea of drama, but there was no drama at all, because Luciano was a gift from God, and he literally was there to greet me at the airport, and he had foreseen my every need. Not only had he given me a wonderful gift in the form for Christmas, which was perfect in every way, he had driven me all the way across to Cowichan Bay, and together he and I spent a couple of days in Victoria, and everything was perfect, you know. When I got on the plane at Gatwick, I was aware that I only had, I don't know, £120 in my account, and I was fully aware that that was about to be drained away. So I was guided to take it and put it in my purse, and it was available in English notes. So now my account was empty, and I got onto the plane. For the first time, there were no flight blankets available freely. They were now being charged for, and also the headsets for the entertainment system were being charged for. The hostess said that she wouldn't accept cash. They couldn't accept cash. They could only accept payment from a card, and I knew there and then that there was nothing in my account, and so the card would decline. And so I took my coat and I used that as a blanket, and it was fine. Yet everyone on the flight was hooked up to these headphones and either listening to music or watching movies. So there was no real interaction there. And in my mind I had a thought, you know, I don't need to purchase anything because everything is given. If I need something, it will be given. And I knew this was the case as far as the headset went. As soon as I had this thought, the guy next to me tapped me on the shoulder, who happened to be wearing headphones at the time, and he looked at me and he said, "I notice you're not wearing a headset. I have a spare set in my bag if you'd like it." And I smiled and said thank you, and there I was given the headset that was needed. So literally everything was given. I was fed well on the plane and watered, and you know, everything was really fine. And then the experience with my friend Luciano, and when he picked me up from the airport, I kind of guessed that he thought that I was going to direct him, like Spirit was going to direct me and I was going to direct him. But I had no feeling of that whatsoever. It was a feeling of no. This is an opportunity for Luciano to experience Spirit, to experience truth, and to grow in trust. And so we both had no idea how to get to this ferry terminal. And I said to him, when I trust, I'm driving in full trust, my car just gets there. It knows where to go. And I said, you really need to get into that experience. And so I allowed him to just to have the experience, and I said absolutely nothing. I just became the observer of all that was. But without me even realizing it, I was observing more keenly than I thought. And as Luciano drove away from the ferry terminal and into this huge city, he could have gone miles and miles and miles out, but he kept coming back to the same place. He didn't notice it, but I actually did. And on the third run, I said to him, now listen, I'm noticing that wherever you go, Spirit keeps bringing you back to this place. We've been in this place 3 times now. So I said, just focus your attention here, because there's something here that needs to be followed. And with that, instead of turning one way or the other, we just went straight ahead, and before we knew it, there were signs to the ferry terminal, and before we knew it, we were on board this ferry, which was is just, evidence that everything is taken care of. Everything is taken care of. And, I felt that was a good experience for him to have. Again, that experience was repeated when we landed in Victoria. We had to find our hotel, which is like going to London, a stranger arriving in London and trying to pinpoint one hotel without direction. So again, I allowed him to just have an experience of driving without direction and driving under trust, and he seemed to get frustrated and said, "Oh, I'm afraid that I'm pissing you off." And I said, "You're not. I'm quite happy to just sit here." And I said, "Also consider that if you feel you're not hearing your own guidance, then you can stop, you can pull over, and you can ask." I said, "Because Holy Spirit will reach you through your brother. He speaks to you in many ways, so there is no shame in stopping and asking for the direction." And at that point, he felt to pull over. There was a guy standing there, and this guy smiled and said, "Oh, well, you're actually very close to it. You're very parallel to the hotel. It's just on the next street to the left." And so he was virtually almost there anyway, and this guy just confirmed it for him. And yeah, it was another miracle that we were being guided perfectly. Also, I was guided not to exchange my English money for Canadian dollars in the UK. And so I thought, okay, I'll probably get dollars when I arrive in Canada. And when I arrived firstly in the airport, it was like, no, don't get dollars, just leave it. And so I went off to meet Luciana, and shortly thereafter I was gifted with a fair amount of dollars. I don't know, it was around about $150. And so it literally was that everything was given. I was fed, I was taken care of. Never once did I need for anything. And then the following day, on the high street, I was walking along, and Luciana had gone off, but I'd connected with this homeless man on the street, and he was holding out a basket, and there was nothing in it. And I stopped, and I really connected with his call, and I looked in the eyes and I said, "What is it that you think you need? Do you think you need money?" And he just smiled and he nodded, yes. I said, "Everything is given," and I threw the dollars that had been gifted to me into his basket. By this time, Luciano had turned back to see that I had stopped, and he also threw dollars into the basket. And I'm not quite sure how much, but I'd say around about $150, $200 that this guy had in his basket in one hit. And he was so moved. I had such a generous donation, and he was like, "Oh man, bless you, thank you so much." And the connection was so beautiful, and in that split second I saw the face of Christ in him, and I heard the words, "What you do to the least of my brothers, you do unto me." And it was so beautiful. And I knew in that moment that what this guy had received was far greater than money, far greater than money. It had nothing to do with the money that was in his basket, and I knew that he had received a healing that was so profound, and I could just see it in his eyes, and it was given. And he actually packed off up for the day and stopped standing in the doorway and went off to wherever he was going. And I knew in my heart that he was going to have a wonderful Christmas. And that was so beautiful just to do that, to give the dollars back as they were given to me. Because really I was in trust that I needed for nothing, and that God would reach me through my brother, and that was just so beautiful. It was so beautiful. And another funny thing was that as we were driving along the following day, I saw a sign. It said DQ, DQ, and I thought, DQ? What's DQ? Well, Luciana said it's the Dairy Queen, and I went, oh my God, the Dairy Queen! I mean, I've heard so much about the Dairy Queen from Oprah Winfrey, and she just had a story where she sort of survived her torment by visiting the Dairy Queen, and I thought, oh my, with that, the car sort of turned off, and before we knew it, we were in the Dairy Queen, and I was being treated to, I think it was called a pumpkin blaze, and it was an ice cream with frozen pumpkin through it. I mean, it was absolutely delicious. So I got to experience the Dairy Queen, which was pretty cool. Yeah, ice cream, oh, pardon the pun, pretty cool. So yeah, my 2 days was up with Luciano, and he was to travel back to his family to spend Christmas in Idaho. So he kindly delivered me to my friend Grace in Cowichan Bay, and on the way there we saw a young girl, I don't know, about 19, hiking on the motorway, and instantly Luciano pulled over, and we extended love to her, and actually included her on our journey, and she was trying to reach her parents, who were picking her up at Nanaimo, and she was already 2 hours late, and so it was kind of like Luciano was extending the miracle to her that day, and that was really beautiful to witness. And so I arrive at my friend Grace's, and it's beautiful to have been reconnected with her. I mean, she spent time with me in the UK recently, so but I never had any idea that I would follow her home and get to stay with her for a while. So it was all good. I guess this is going to have to be It's All Given Part 1, because I'm aware that my clock is ticking away, as it does on Spreaker. I only have 1 minute 30 left, and I can't possibly share my journey with you in the time given, so look out for It's All Given Part 2. I have no idea when that will be. It might be that I record it straight away after this, or it might be tomorrow, it might be a week, it might even be not at all. I can't even pretend to know anything. Yeah, and now it's looking like I have about 40 seconds left, so I hope that you guys had a lovely Christmas, and I bless you with miracles in this fabulous new year, and I will speak to you soon.